Thank you very much, Lieutenant. And thank you all for being here for this momentous day, this extraordinary day, when we celebrate the next generation coming into the service of this city. I want to talk about these great young men and women in just a moment, but first I want to thank our fantastic Fire Commissioner, Dan Nigro. By the way, to all the graduates, in the year 1970, Commissioner Nigro sat where you sit today. And to his great credit, he has brought so many years of wisdom and experience to the leadership of this department. Let's thank Commissioner Nigro for all he does. And the leadership team he has assembled: First Deputy Commissioner Robert Turner and Chief of Department James Leonard. Thank you for your great leadership, and thank you, Father Hoffman, for the guidance that you provide the men and women of this department. I want to also thank my friend who represents so many of the employees of this department, Steve Cassidy, the President of the Uniformed Firefighters Association. Thank you, Steve, for your leadership. Most importantly, congratulations, graduates, congratulations to all 280 of you. Now, people graduate from a whole range of different institutions, schools, colleges, all sorts of things, but when you graduate from the Rock, you know you're special. 18 weeks. 18 weeks that aren't easy. Some would say 18 brutal weeks of being put through everything and anything to prepare you for the mission ahead. It is truly a task only for the strong and the focused and the motivated. And 280 of you prove that the very best are those who get through this and graduate, become a part of this department. You know the challenges you faced were not just physical, they're mental as well. You were asked to test your mind, to test your skills of every kind, to get you ready for battle against a very, very difficult enemy. Now, you're called to that duty, to the biggest challenge, which is to go to the front line and protect your fellow New Yorkers. We know that this is the finest training there is, and we know you're ready. And we also know the one thing you can expect is the unexpected. Sometimes you get what has happened for years and years. You get a blazing inferno that you have to go into and save human lives out of the core of that fire. You'll be called upon to do that, but you'll be called upon to do things you never even anticipated as well. Look at what's just happened in these last weeks in New York City. Members of this department who helped to transport Dr. Spencer, first Ebola patient here in New York City, and thank God the only Ebola patient, and we are so glad of his full recovery. But it was members of FDNY, it was firefighters, it was EMTs, who were the first on the scene to provide that help. We had never experienced that before in the history of the city, but this department rose to the occasion. That's the kind of thing, the absolute unexpected, you may be called upon to be a part of. Even just a week ago, 2 window washers dangling 69 stories up at the Freedom Tower, 69 stories up. Who saved them? FDNY. The guys came out without a scratch because of the power of this agency. And we will not ask you to practice dangling 69 stories up, I assure you. Now, what this says is you may be the only thing standing between your fellow New Yorker and danger. You may be the only reason their lives are saved. That's what you came here to do. That's what you're capable of doing. And that's why you make us all so proud, because you've been willing to take on such sacred duty. You are a particularly impressive class on many, many levels. One thing I particularly value, a lot of you, this is not your first rodeo when it comes to public service. In fact, 51 of you are veterans of our armed forces. I want to thank you. You're a class that represents every neighborhood of the city, every part of the metropolitan area, every background. You represent all the greatness of New York City. You bring everything this city has to the equation. And a lot of you are not the first in your family. You're not even the second in your family. Some of you are second generation. Some of you are third generation. We even have fifth generation firefighters represented here today, and that is extraordinary. Let me use the example of Charles McKeon. His great-great-grandfather died in the line of duty with the FDNY in 1895, succeeded by his great-grandfather, his grandfather, and his father, all of whom retired from the job. And just in case Charles needs a few pointers, his brother is an active firefighter already. That's an extraordinary family. The valedictorian of this class, Brandon Riley. His father retired, his brother active duty right now. The salutatorian, Joe Seelig, third generation firefighter, son of the Chief of Special Operations, Bill Seelig, another great example. And some history being made today in the person of Josephine Smith. She is the first female legacy in the history of this department, fulfilling her lifelong dream of following the footsteps of her father, Kevin, who died tragically on 9/11. Kevin was a part of one of the units hit most hard that day, Hazmat 1. Josephine, out of that tragedy, devoted herself to service and steps forward today to join this department. She is one of 4 incredible and impressive women in this class, and we thank them all. And with their graduation, we now have a record number of women firefighters in this agency. This agency gets stronger, better all the time. This department represents all of this city and serves with extraordinary capacity that grows with each year. So you've gotten a sense of how special this class is, and each one of you brings your own story, and I know each of those stories involved a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of focus. You couldn't possibly be here without that, and a willingness to sacrifice just to get this far, let alone what you're willing to do up ahead to protect others. Remember how many people depend on you. Remember how many people love you and are caring for you at each and every point, and a little vignette makes this point powerfully. I mentioned Josephine. I heard that each day when she leaves her home, before she turns out the light in her home, she looks up, and right above the light switch is a picture of her dad that reminds her of what it's all about. And there's a sign above the picture that says simply, "Make him proud." Make him proud. And that says so much. You're making your loved ones proud. You're making this department proud. You're making the people of this city proud. You have joined what is undoubtedly the world's greatest fire department. And that is cause for celebration. You make us all proud. God bless you all.